guys, it is Thrift Flip time, Christmas edition. Let's go ahead and get started. We are starting out here today with one of the sleighs that I picked up. If you didn't watch my big haul for Christmas sleighs, this is one from there. And I'm just going to lean into that gold that's already there. I just don't quite love the paint job that was done on it before. So I'm going to take a metallic gold and I'm going to dry brush it all over, kind of in a heavy-handed way, just to really pop all of those colors and those details. And I'm going to do that all over the sleigh, on the sides, back, fronts. And hit those railings one more time just to kind of make sure everything matches. It's the same kind of shimmery gold color. And then I'm going to let that dry. From there, the next step is just to add an arrangement into it. So I am going to cut down a foam block that will fit. I have this metal ruler that works really good for cutting foam. So that's what I always use. So I'm just going to cut off the part that I don't need and hot glue that into the sleigh. I'm just going to go ahead and put the hot glue down and it will stick. Now, I'm okay that it won't be a forever stick because this is a slick surface, so that if somebody does in the future want to change this up, it will peel right on out for them. From there, I'm going to take this beautiful Christmas arrangement that I picked up from Walmart. They had some really, really good options this year. I'm just going to cut it down to whatever heights that I need, and I'm going to stick it all in this sleigh. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think this arrangement was from last year and I had this one left over because I'm pretty sure I didn't see the golds this year. Either way, check out those arrangements. They're usually $5 and they're nice and full and beautiful. And look how this thing turned out. And next, I found this really cute little wood toy with the little teddy bear. I am a sucker for teddy bears. I collected them as a child. So when I saw this, I definitely wanted to save it and bring it back to life. I'm going to start with the tree, and I'm just going to be using this green chalk paint and doing a dry brush onto it. For the dry brush, we dip the tip of our brush in, get off any of the excess, and then we just rub the bristles on. It'll leave just a little small amount of paint, and then as you get used to it, you can always add more paint on. It's harder to get it off, but you can keep a little more paint on if you want like a heavier look to it. So I'm just going to do that with another lighter green as well. Again, dip the tip of my brush, and I'm also using like a stencil brush with those hard textury bristles so that it leaves all of that texture strokes onto this tree just to kind of make it look like pine leaves and not to make it so dull. From there, I'm just going to use some of this red chalk paint, and I'm going to do some touch-ups on the base. It didn't need a lot of work because it was in decent shape, but there were a few scrapes and scratches that I wanted to touch up. And then for the wheels, I wanted to paint them black. I just felt like they would pop a little bit more off of here, just give a little bit more distinction. So I went through and painted all 4 of those with that black. After that, I wanted to go ahead and make this gold star a little bit more shimmery. So I took some gold metallic paint and I'm painting it on there just so it has a little bit of shine to it. Once we're done with that, we're just going to add a little bit more to this wagon. The little sign that the bear is carrying, I just wanted to outline that a little to make it pop off and stand out. And then down here where there's a little, like, I think it's a duck, I just wanted to add a little bit of greenery and berries to also make that pop. The third project we have today is this cross grapevine wreath. I thought it was really cute, but I did not like the florals that were on it. Well, scratch that. I probably would have loved them when they were new, but they were really dingy and really needed an update. So I pulled them out and I'm going to give them a Christmas update. And I'm just going to pull, again, pieces from an arrangement from a Walmart pick. And I'm going to wire those in. I'm just going to kind of dry run in, see how I like everything fitting. And if I like it, I'm going to use the floral wire and then also wrap some ribbon around to give it a little detail. Let me know which one of these projects so far is your favorite in the comments below. I found these cute little rocker wood animals and I love them, but they are pretty beat up and need, a little bit of saving. So I'm going to pull the greenery around their neck off. It was stapled on, so I'm just removing that staple, removing it. The bottoms I'm going to paint in a fresh black. They're kind of like a really, really dark brown, and I just wanted them to have that nice fresh black look. So I painted for both pieces a nice good thick coat of the black, let it dry, and then I'm going to go in and start painting their bodies. Now I'm going to start with the bear, and for the bear I wanted him to be a polar bear. I felt like that would fit the season a little better. So I went in and it did take two, probably like 2.5 of like a spot, the third coat being more of a spot coat, just to cover all of it since it was such a dark color underneath. But I think it was really worth it because it really popped against his little rocker now. And then I just painted a face on. So I think he turned out really cute. And we're going to add that green ear back on here in a minute. But I love how bright and, contrasty he is now with the black versus the white, and then also him being a polar bear. So next we're going to paint up the reindeer. I wanted to go ahead and just keep him red. I liked how they looked together when the reindeer was red, and I know reindeer aren't red, but that's okay. So I'm just going to paint him up. Like I said, that was pretty beat up. I know the distress on the edges is on purpose, but there were scratches and dinks all over the place. So I just did a nice healthy coat to give him covered, and then I wanted to make his antlers pop a little bit. So I took my antiquing wax and I just dabbed that on all over his antlers, and I'm just going to brush it on and then wipe off any of the excess just to kind of darken and deepen them a little bit so that they stand out in contrast with his body. From there, I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the polar bear. I'm going to paint on a little face, and I did make sure that I paint the face on both sides so that no matter which direction somebody wants this to sit, it will be able to turn either direction. I just tried to be sure that when I did paint it on, it was symmetrical heights for the eyes and everything so that it looked more natural. After that, both pieces needed to be sealed in, so I grabbed my polyacrylic and sealed that up, and then I let that dry. After it was fully dry, I had these little miniature round like candle wreaths that I broke down, and I'm going to attach them as their new collar. I'm just going to use a staple gun to hold it in place, and then also a little bit of hot glue to hold the opposite end just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere and give it some extra support. But I think these turned out really cute. I'm really glad I was able to save them and give them a little slight makeover to make them find a new home. Next, we have another sleigh that I picked up that has this super cute snowman on him, and I just wanted to, again, give it an update. So I'm going to go in with some red chalk paint and get that nice, bright, fresh red, and I did 3 coats on that, just one panel, and then 2 coats on the rest of the sleigh. I needed to really cover that image that was back there. But in order to get a nice good coverage, I did go ahead and disconnect his hands from the sleigh and like lay him backwards so that I can make sure every part of the sleigh was painted. It just makes me feel a little better. And then from there, I went ahead and added a stencil onto the side. So I have these cute little stencils that have like all the different holidays. I just picked out one for Christmas and I stenciled it on. So I'm just putting a little pressure on the stencil to hold it down, and then going in with a chalk paint and a brush, and not too much paint because I didn't want it to bleed over, and coloring that in. I didn't like how the M and the E weren't connected, so I just went in with a detail brush and connected them to make them look not as if it were stenciled. And then I came in and painted the bottom part of the sleigh black. I don't think I got that on video, but I did go over and hit it all with that black chalk paint, and now I'm just sealing it in. From there, it's time to attach our Mr. Snowman back on, so I'm just going to hot glue his hands back in place. And you can also see a screw down in the bottom that I placed just to make sure the sleigh was secure. Some of the brad nails were coming up, and so I glued it and screwed it just to make sure it was going to be, nice and tight and not going to fall apart on anybody. This is a little arrangement that I picked up thrifting, and I am going to use it, pull it apart and use it to fill this sleigh. Thought it was super cute, but I didn't really like the hanging ball, and the ribbon was old and stuff, so I'm just going to repurpose it. So I cut down foam to put in, and now I'm just going to glue the ends and stick them in. I'm gluing these ends because they're not super long, and I want to make sure they don't fall out. These stems have like berries and stuff, and the arrangement also had the tiny pine cones, so I'm just going to place these in and arrange to where we have pops of color and pine cones kind of everywhere you look, and I think it turned out super cute. Definitely give this video a thumbs up if you are liking the projects that I'm working on, specifically if you like this little snowman sleigh. I'm in love. Next, I picked up this little birdhouse that has a nice chapel shape, and when I saw it, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I don't know if this happens to you guys. Let me know in the comments below if like you can see like a vision of something. Like when I saw this, I could picture, like a picture popped in my head exactly what it was going to look like. And that happens to me all the time. So that's why I kind of go into these things knowing the vision. Other times it takes me a while to get there. But with this one, I knew immediately that I wanted it to be a little white and black chapel. So I'm going to take that white chalk paint and do a nice kind of heavier dry brush all over just to brighten it, pop it. But I didn't want to fully cover it because I want those kind of tan or off-white tones to pop through to give it nice texture and dimension. So I'm just going to go in and paint it all over. Like I said, not fully, but like a nice heavy dry brush on the, all on the panels and on the top steeple part. And then I'm going to go in and paint the roof black. With this, I am going in and painting it thoroughly, so I'm doing a nice heavy coat, and then I did touch up any spots that needed it because I wanted it to be a nice solid black. The windows that are on there were kind of just like slightly brushed, kind of, I don't know. I don't know the words. Just like kind of almost like an airbrushy look to them, and I wanted to keep that, so I just took my brush and lightly went over that as well, and then I took some antiquing wax and painted the base of it just to give it a more natural tone because I am going to be adding some stuff to the base later. Here you see me cutting down some basswood to make a door. So I want to cover up the hole in there and I want to kind of make like a faux wood door. So I'm just cutting it down to size, kind of marking where I need to cut angles and things, and then from there it was kind of just me eyeballing it and trimming that piece down over and over until it slid in. I wanted to make sure it was a nice tight fit. I don't plan on gluing it in, so I wanted to make sure it was nice and snug. It would not come back out. I'm antique waxing it. I'm just going to paint it on and wipe it off because I do want it to look like a faux wood door, and this color would really pop with that black and white. So I'm just going to wipe off the excess, and then I'm going to squeeze it down into there, and you'll see it's a nice tight fit. I know that it's not going to just fall out in the future, so I'm just going to push it down, and then from there I'm going to paint on some details. I'm going to use the black paint again after it's dried to paint on a doornail, a doorknob, and then also some windows. So I'm going to I end up going off frame here a bit, so I'm sorry that you don't see me doing this, but kind of mark some spots where I want it to go and then paint 4 black squares in order to make a full window. Now I'm going to use some Spanish moss, and I'm going to hot glue that around the base of the entire thing. Kind of just liven up this base a little bit. The antique wax that I put down, if it's not thoroughly covered, will do the rest of the work, but I wanted the Spanish moss to go all the way around the edge just to cover it and make it have a little bit more life, even though the Spanish moss looks dead. After I do that, I like to trim down the Spanish moss just to make sure the edges are clean, and I'm going to add some Christmas greenery to the front, just from some pics that I had laying around. And I love, love, love how this turned out. Definitely let me know, again, which one is your favorite, or maybe top 3 in the comments below. And give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this content, because I am having a blast flipping these items. Look how cute this turned out. The last but not least is this giant sled that I had, and I think it's really cute, but I don't love the solid red look. So again, dry brush technique. Are you surprised? I just love the texture that it leaves. So I'm going to go in with some green, and I'm going to do kind of a heavier dry brush on this. Again, using a chip brush because it has those nice textured bristles. Dipping the tips of the brush in the paint, tapping off any excess, and just going in and wiping those all edges of the sled. I'm going to do that green all over, top, bottom, underside, and then I'm going to come back in with some white. I'm going to do an even heavier brush here because I do want the main part of the sled to be a white, but I do want that green and red just kind of peeking through. So I want it to be mostly white with just a little peekaboo. And then for the railings underneath, I want to do them in black. Same thing, a nice heavy, thick brush coat, but with that red and green kind of showing through. And then after it's dried, I seal the whole thing. But I did, like I said, want the contrast of the white and the black. I think as a solid color, it was just a little bit too much for the eye to handle. So we're going to just do those two separate colors just to break it up a little bit, especially because of its size. Here you see I've moved on. I found this little Christmas tree arrangement at the thrift store. I'm going to remove the base and cut off any of the old pieces that I don't want or seem too kind of yucky to save. And then once I'm satisfied, I'm going to take one of those Walmart arrangements and I'm going to cut it down to whatever size I need the stem to be, and I'm going to wire it into the tree. And I just did that all over wherever I thought we needed something, added some ribbons, some ribbon picks, just kind of filled it up with whatever I thought looked best. And then I'm going to add it into the sleigh. So I used some foam down into the sleigh to attach it, and I just put some hot glue onto the bottom. I covered it with some white cotton to make it look like snow, and voila. And here are a few other pieces that I didn't get into the video, so you can just check those out. But I am going to take you in for a closer look on all of these pieces. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing, and I am going to take you in for a closer look, and I'll see you next time.